We all think we know what luxury is, right? Big logos, high price tags. But what if I told you that the entire definition is changing right now, right under our noses? Today, we are diving deep into the world of high-end luxury, a massive industry that's facing a huge identity crisis.
Just imagine that for a second. What if the logos got smaller, the branding more subtle? What if the loudest statement a luxury item could make was a whisper? And look, this isn't just some thought experiment.
That's right, we're talking about the $1.5 trillion luxury market, and it is grappling with this huge problem. Why are its old-school status symbols, the loud logos and the showy consumption, suddenly not working with the very people they're supposed to attract?
So, how in the world does a giant global brand figure out what its wealthiest customers are really thinking? Well, the traditional way is honestly painfully slow and super expensive. But there's a new approach that's flipping that entire model on its head. And it's delivering incredible insights at a speed that's just unbelievable.
And wow, when you see it laid out side by side like this, the difference is just massive. On one side, you've got the old school way. We're talking months of work, tens of thousands of dollars, and you might still get biased, kind of surface-level answers. And on the other, an AI-driven approach that's getting deeper, more honest insights in a tiny fraction of the time and cost.
So that traditional research timeline, we're talking 16 to 20 weeks. That is nearly half a year just to get some answers.
And the new AI-powered way? Get this, 17 minutes. Yep, from half a year to less time than it takes to grab a coffee. It's wild.
And the cost? We're talking savings of over $50,000. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a complete revolution in how brands can actually listen to their customers.
So what did this lightning-fast AI research actually find? Well, it uncovered 4 pretty surprising new rules that are basically rewriting the entire playbook for luxury. It's solving the mystery of this huge cultural shift.
Okay, first big revelation. Craftsmanship, or as the French call it, savoir-faire, which literally just means know-how, is no longer just for the experts. Today's luxury buyer, it doesn't matter what their background is looking at products with like a forensic-level eye for detail. Quality isn't just a feature, it's the absolute bare minimum.
One elite connoisseur really put it perfectly. They said, it's these minute details that elevate a product from merely expensive to truly luxurious. We're talking about the hand stitching, the perfect alignment, the things you really have to look close to see. That's what separates just another expensive accessory from a real work of art.
All right, let's go to finding number 2, which builds right on this idea. Having a famous brand name isn't just for showing off anymore. For today's consumer, a brand's long, rich history is basically a guarantee of quality. It's a powerful shortcut to trust.
As one very sharp professional said, a name like Patek Philippe isn't really about the logo. It's about centuries of knowledge and skill. It's an assurance that what you're buying is the real deal, that it has lasting, enduring substance.
This third insight, I think this one is just beautiful. It's called the patina philosophy. And the idea is that true luxury items aren't meant to be kept in a box all perfect and pristine. No, they're meant to be lived in, to age gracefully, and to actually collect stories over time.
I just love this quote from an investor talking about her Birkin bag. The scratches, the softened leather, she says, those aren't flaws, they're marks of a life lived. The bag has character, a personal story that a brand new item off the shelf could never ever have.
And the last revelation really gets to the core of that whole shout versus whisper debate. It turns out, when a luxury item becomes too common, too easy to spot, it loses its magic for the most discerning buyers. It becomes, well, a uniform.
And this quote just ties it all together perfectly. A connoisseur explained why they decided against buying a really iconic watch. It had just become too common. They wanted something that whispered quality, not something that shouted conformity. So here it is, the new paradox of luxury. The most desirable items are often the ones that only a few people can even recognize.
So, you're a brand, you have all this incredible insight, what do you actually do with it? How do you start speaking this new, quieter language of luxury? Well, the research points to a really clear 2-track playbook.
And this is actually pretty genius. You have to speak to 2 totally different buyers. For the connoisseur, you frame your product as wearable art. You focus on the artisan's story, the craftsmanship, the bespoke details. But for the pragmatist, you shift gears completely. You talk about it as a sensible investment. You highlight its longevity, the cost per wear, how it holds its value. It's the exact same beautiful product, just spoken about in 2 entirely different languages.
But here's the key. Underneath those two different approaches, there are universal demands that unite all modern luxury buyers. Every single one of them wants substance over status, timeless design over some fleeting trend, and they all see heritage and craftsmanship as totally non-negotiable guarantees of quality.
Okay, let's just zoom out for a second. Why does the shift from status to substance matter, even if you're not in the market for a five-figure watch? Well, because it signals a much bigger cultural change in how we, as a society, are starting to define value itself.
In economics, there's this concept called Veblen goods, which is basically stuff that's valuable because it's expensive and showy. We're seeing a move away from that and a shift towards what you could call cultural capital. That's where value isn't determined by everyone, but by a smaller, more informed group of people who are really in the know.
And the payoff for brands is huge. When you have this kind of deep insight, you can stop just chasing trends and you can actually start leading the culture. You can make bold, strategic decisions, like making your logo smaller, not as some wild guess, but as a confident move based on real, deep understanding of what people want.
So, all of this leaves us with one final, big question that applies to almost any industry, not just luxury. In a world that's learning to value substance over symbols, is your brand speaking the new language? Is it whispering quality, or is it just shouting its price?